we spent the past couple of years in a crazy hot market. Louisville home sales decline as demand outpaces supply. Effective communication is at the core of any situation. If you master these two ideas, you'll have a chance of being successful at residential real estate marketing. I think you need to be looking for investment opportunities that move the needle. The market will never crash if demand exceeds supply. This is what I've been telling you all along.
This is the Jay Pitts Show.
And we're back, folks. Welcome back to the Jay Pitts Show here on Talk Radio 1080. I'm your host, Jay Pitts, here with Ryan Harris. Let's just get this out of the way, okay? My voice.
I was going to say, yeah, we got to open up with your voice, and it's been a little while since we've done this.
It's absolutely been a while. I think we have not done a new episode in 3 weeks. Is that correct?
Yes.
4 weeks,
No,
maybe.
It's been longer than that because we had some in the tank.
We had a little holiday hiatus, but I got the flu back in December. If you're a longtime listener, you know enough about me to know that I coach all the kids' sports. Obviously, I kind of talk for a living as a real estate broker. So I've had a hard time taking off enough to get the voice back. It's as good as it's been in a month right now. And still, obviously, I'm at like maybe 60%. So we just decided we couldn't wait any longer. We wanted to get back here on air with you. So yeah, this is what you're going to be. If I get to coughing, I'm sorry. I got mints on deck. I've got water. Ryan is prepared to banter if necessary, but here we are. Obviously something new. We're in a new setting.
Yeah. Jay's 60% is my 100%. We were joking about that. He sounds like my soft jazz voice now, as Jay has put it before.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
It's so funny. My dad and my brother have voices that are very loud.
Right.
And I can be at sometimes, but
Yeah.
I've just always been a little more soft-spoken.
Well, it's funny because, Ben is seemingly a bit introverted, at least around me. Maybe that's
Sure.
not the case with everybody, but I have noticed that he has a capacity for volume.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't personally hear it very much. Now, obviously your dad, Mark, and I have some communication quite often, and yeah, he's got the boom.
Yeah, it'd be funny to have him in here for an episode sometime.
You know what?
I don't think I would talk. I don't think I'd get a word in personally, but
Between he and I
would have to be a moderator.
Well, I think that's a good idea. I think we should do that. Speaking of, the new set that we have here. Obviously, we're still partnered with Talk Radio 1080, and we'll be doing shows from the studio still. But we've decided to make use of my office / studio here at Remax Premier Properties. Done a little bit of a kind of. I don't know about you, but like when I had like apartments or dorms when I was much younger, it always felt really good to rearrange the furniture.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I kind of feel like that's what we got going on here. We rearranged the furniture in the office. We set up a studio. We got some lighting, done some things. Hannah's worked her magic. I don't know. Kind of feels good to broadcast from home.
Yeah, it does. I'll never forget coming home as a kid from like school or something, and your parents rearranged the whole living room. You're like, what is going on? And
like from college, like you were away for a while and then you came home?
No, just high school or middle school, and you're at school, and they just decided for some reason living room setup needs to change.
Yeah, and you're like, wait a minute.
And it's the same room, but it just seems so much different.
Yeah, random.
It is a good feeling. But cool,
so
man.
Anyway, well, we got those two things out of the way. You'll see us more in this setting. Another thing I guess I wanted to get into before we move on, I think we're going to start doing a little more guest heavy. More guest activity here on the show. So don't be surprised if we have Mark Harris. Don't be surprised if we have other guests. I was actually talking to, which would have been a good one today because I know about some of the stuff we're going to talk about later, but I talked to a wholesaler the other day, a pretty high volume wholesaler, pretty good wholesaler actually, about potentially joining us for an episode at some point.
Cool.
So maybe that would be a good idea. But aside from all that, what do you got planned for us today, Ryan?
We got a lot here. So I think just to start, let's catch up. How's life? The kids?
Doing good.
Fitness going well still?
Yes. And the crazy thing, December was a crazy month. Our house was hit like crazy, like stomach bugs all around, all 5 of us. Got through that. Then I got the flu, which I'm the one who's never sick. So the fact that I went down twice, and I don't remember, I haven't been sick since probably 2020.
Well, and I'm sure it's one of those things. This is how I am. When I feel a little sick, I'm like, nope, I'm not letting this happen. not going to happen. I'm going to work out. I'm taking everything I can
Yeah.
to push this for 2 days,
Absolutely.
and I'll feel fine. But even, heck, I was sick around Christmas time and felt awful for 4 or 5 days.
I literally left the gym and I felt a pretty heavy like chest congestion. And I was like, man, I know what this is. It's upper respiratory infection. Got young kids. They come home from school. They bring stuff. I was like, I'm just gonna go to the little clinic. I'm gonna get a Z-Pack and some prednisone, and I'm gonna like knock this thing out.
Yeah.
And so I got on my phone and I just scheduled an appointment for a Kroger Little Clinic. Roll in there expecting to walk out with a prescription, and they say you got the flu. Go to the basement for 5 days. And I was like, so miserable.
Yeah.
So miserable.
So you're working down there, just
Working out. We got
Yeah.
a workout room. I didn't even feel sick. I never had a fever. It was just one of those things. But yeah, everything's good. Gym's good. Having fun. Kids are doing great. Basketball season's wrapping up. Baseball started indoor. We just roll from one to the next.
Yeah.
Going to Florida this weekend for a couple of days. Remax was kind enough to give us a little
Awesome.
a reward of a trip. So
That'd be
we're going
nice.
to take that.
So
It's
you
just 3
leave
days.
tomorrow?
Leave Sunday.
Leave Sunday.
Leave Sunday.
Cool.
So leave Sunday, back Wednesday.
Awesome.
So pretty quick. I'm going to play golf while I'm there.
Where are you going?
It's Fort Lauderdale.
Fort Lauderdale. Awesome.
Yeah. So Four Seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw, speaking of Four Seasons, Britney Spears is banned from Four Seasons for life now.
I did not know that.
Yeah, she was, I believe, topless in the pool. So
Wow.
this is very recent, too. So she's banned from Four Seasons.
And it wasn't like Vegas where it might have been acceptable.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know about if Four Seasons ever has that. But like, for example, Mandalay Bay, where the Remax convention is this year, they actually have a topless pool. I've never been there. It's weird.
Hey,
if you ask me.
everyone's topless if you're a guy.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. So, I did not know that. So I'm presuming it was not allowed and she just got caught.
Yeah, I wonder if anybody from the brokerage is gonna go to that pool.
I don't know. It's a wild crowd sometimes. We'll see. I'm sure I'll hear about it. It won't be me. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Well, we'll do just a little more catching up here and then get into the show.
Right.
So I was gonna tell you about this earlier, but I was like, let's save it for the show. Man, coffee in the morning. I can't tell you how many times I left a coffee cup under the Keurig, not drank. Just when my wife leaves for work and I have the baby.
And it gets cold.
It's just, and I'll chug it. I'm like, I need this caffeine in me.
So you got a microwave. Microwave that stuff, bro.
Yeah.
You're not a microwave fan?
No, I'm really not. I don't use the microwave
microwaves
that much.
What is it like just don't, or you have something against it?
I don't have anything against it.
Okay.
I just
You're
don't.
not like a radiation.
I'd rather heat it up in the oven or on a pan or something. I think it tastes better.
Like food.
Yes.
I was gonna say coffee in the oven, like I don't know, bro. Like that's no. I just throw it in the microwave.
Cool.
Which anymore, it's like half the time it's a Yeti, so I can't. But I drink cold coffee too. I drink any kind of coffee.
Yep. All right. Let's get into the show.
Sure.
So this question, consumer real estate question, we're going to stick with this for now.
Sure.
This is another agent writing in or consumers writing in case you haven't listened to this show, asking Jay their opinion on something or just something happening in the market. This one is courtesy of your brother, Zach Pitts.
Oh, nice.
Said, ask Jay, what's the biggest REO horror story that he has?
Ooh. REO horror story. I'm going to take that as of like frustration to me.
So I'll tell you the way he asked it was just walking into certain houses.
Like what did I see? Crazy
Yes.
stuff? Okay. So there's probably one that he has in mind. So a lot of you don't know this, but or have no cause to know if you're just a listener and you don't know us personally. My brother's 4.5 years younger than me. My brother was a very successful baseball player. He pitched for University of Louisville. He was their Friday starter. So if you know baseball, that means he's pretty much the ace, starting pitcher of the staff. They do that because they play Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3-game sets in college. And you always run your best pitcher out there on Friday. Try to get some momentum for the weekend. So Zach would pitch on Fridays. That's just relevant in that he had a lot of success and got drafted. He didn't go far in the majors. He played 3 years and then got cut in the middle of the, kind of Great Recession, which, believe it or not, very much hit minor league baseball. And so he came home and he got into real estate. First, he was an appraiser, and then he got into real estate part-time while he was doing that. So he was helping me because I had all these bank foreclosures around that time that I was trying to take care of all over the state. I had 9 counties for Freddie Mac. And there was one, and Zach would go and he would check on the properties in E-Town, down south of here, most of the Freddie Mac properties. And that was work he did for me that he could earn some money. Well, he went in this trailer. It was a double-wide trailer in E-Town. And he opened the front door because, they would be vacant most times. And when he did, a literal sea of Bud Light 12-ounce bottles, long neck bottles, attacked him. Like it was up to his waist. It was in every room of the entire trailer. You're talking about probably like
all Bud Lights,
1,200 square feet, every single one a Bud Light long neck, and you could literally swim in it like Scrooge McDuck's money. Like it was up.
Was there somebody living there?
No, they had moved out. They were up to your waist. And I can go on for hours about this stuff, so I got plenty of other stories. I think it's about time for a break, so we can come back on the other side and talk a little more. But Bud Light bottles, 1,200 square feet, up to your waist.
Yeah. We'll take a little break here. We'll be back in a couple of minutes because there was one other story you told me about that I'm wondering if you're going to bring up. So we'll be back on the Jay Pitts Show, Talk Radio 1080, Real News, Real Talk. We'll see you in a sec. Welcome back to the Jay Pitts Show. This is 1080 Talk Radio, Real News, Real Talk. Jay, I'm not going to lie. It's a little harder being in here without the big TV on the side, telling you the 3 words to say that I've said for almost a whole year now.
Yeah.
And
it is what it is.
I think I got it, though.
Mine opening the show was still muscle memory.
Yeah.
I don't know if you caught that. Like, it was like, hey, it was an out-of-body experience for me.
But, all right, let's jump back into it. So, REO horror stories, Bud Light bottles, attacking your brother.
Dude, it was crazy.
It's a pretty good one.
Like, I don't know. I wanted to be there when because, I had to arrange the contractors to take them out.
Yeah.
And I, literally wanted to see the trash bags.
Hey, you could probably made some good money taking that to
I bet.
A lot of 5-cent bottles.
So the guys that would do this work for us, they always scrap the stuff. Like, because this is just abandoned.
Yeah.
And, it's all your legal right and everything to remove the stuff as the property's owner, because that's who we were working for. But, yeah, I was just curious. Like, was it 50-gallon trash bags? Was it 100? Was it 50? I don't know. Crazy.
I've always wondered this about bottles. They still say the 5 cents, recycle me. I wonder how long it's been 5 cents, because I bet if they changed it to 25 cents now,
people would actually do it.
Oh, people would make it a job.
Mm-hmm. Guaranteed. I just don't know that it's worth that much. I mean, I know they recycle them, so it's great.
Yeah.
I don't know. I always wonder about stuff like that.
Wouldn't it be worth more now that people are making more things out of recyclable material?
It has to be. But
it's like one of those things that inflation's touched everything else, but not the things you can get paid for.
No, I agree.
Just the things you pay for, inflation's hit.
Absolutely. It's curious, right?
Yeah.
All right. What was the other story? Give me a tip.
So
that I
a basement with a bunch of dog poop in it.
Oh, gosh. So there is one house. Now, I don't know that this was a bank foreclosure. This was my first flip that I ever bought. Okay, so he may have this story crazy, but I'm sure there was plenty of houses with dog poop. I mean, guys, I've seen sad things. Yeah. Sad living arrangements, sad treatment of animals, some of which, fortunately, we were able to save. Some we weren't. Won't go into details. That'll make people sad. But the first flip I ever bought, okay, I was working as a lender at the time in E-Town, and got a lead somehow. I think it was my dad. He knew that I was looking to buy a new vehicle, and he also knew that I was very stubborn about borrowing money to do so. And so was making good money, but you're young. Even when you're making good money, it's hard to save expenses. You're trying to get used to it. You haven't been doing it very long. So he knew I was looking for a flip. He knew I wanted to learn it too. What he didn't know was that I also wanted to propose to my then girlfriend, now wife, And the money that I would earn, I was going to pay cash for an engagement ring. And she also was very impatient with me at that point because we've been dating for probably 6 years. And she was graduating college and she wanted to get married. And I didn't want to borrow money to buy an engagement ring. And I didn't want to buy her a cheap one either. I knew what I wanted. So anyway, I find this flip, I buy it, I renovate it. But when the first time I go to see it, it was inherited by an elderly lady passed, inherited by her grandson, who lived in another county. And it is sad, the story, but no, it didn't have a sad ending. But he had I think 8 or 9 dogs that he left in the house and would disappear for weeks at a time. He would feed them. He made sure they had food, but there was no dog door. They couldn't go out. There was no fenced yard. So they just absolutely destroyed this house on their own, most of which was in the basement. And the really crazy story about all of it, because you couldn't really take a step. You could not take a single step in this house without purposely of trying to avoid the dog poop. Because if you didn't watch, you were going to step in it every step. I mean, it was like tiptoeing.
What'd that house smell like?
Awful. Which there is a lesson for this too. I'll come to that. Hopefully we got enough time.
We do. We're good.
So in the basement, there was a snow shovel leaned up against the wall. And what he did was he would walk around the basement scraping the droppings, the left, dog poop. And then he would just shovel it into the corner. And a pile grew so high that it went literally to the rafters in the corner. It was like a mountain, literal mountain of dog feces in the basement.
Throw up over here right now.
It is gross. Now the renovation part. Obviously, I had to pay somebody to clean all that up.
What'd that cost?
Back then, this was probably 2007, 6. I think I paid a guy a couple grand. It was the house. I remember I paid $67,000 for. I sold it for $109,000. I think I had 15 or 20 in the rehab. Very different numbers from today. I made, I made like $35,000 on this house. So those numbers may not hold, but it was something like that. And I paid cash for a vehicle and I bought an engagement ring. Literally spent every bit of it and didn't save any for taxes and got crushed at tax time. But thankfully I had enough savings to cover it. The lesson for our audience, if you're flipping houses, this house was on an OSB subfloor. And all the urine and all the smell had gone through the carpet on the main level down into the subfloor. So it stunk to high heaven even after all the feces came out and even after all the flooring came out, even after we painted, because that stuff gets sucked up in the drywall too. We kills painted everything and then kill primed and painted. The way to get that smell out, okay, is you take 5-gallon buckets of Thompson's water seal and you use paint rollers and you roll the Thompson's water seal out on the subfloor. Because what it does is it penetrates the wood in the subfloor. The wood sucks up the seal, and the seal pushes all the impurities out.
That's
okay,
disgusting.
So then you run an ionizer. You know what an ionizer is, right? It's the, positively charges the electrons and neutrons and all that, whatever. So that whatever's in the air binds together and falls to the floor. So you just walk through after that. There is no smell except the big clumps of stuff laying there that came out of the subfloor and fell out of the air. And then you sweep all that up, you take it out, and then you have a house that kind of smells like chemicals that you got to air out for a few days. But after that, there's no dog urine, no feces.
Smells like Breaking Bad in there.
It was bad, but the house cleaned up like a champ after that.
Okay. Huh.
And you would have thought, okay, we need to set this place on fire.
Yeah.
That's how bad it smelled.
So you said something a few minutes ago during that story that brought me to this. You said you hated borrowing money. This
very
reminded me
to debt.
So Dave Ramsey's been getting hit pretty hard online lately.
Yeah.
About the child care issue. Did you see that?
I don't know that I did.
So
I know he's been advocating people pay off 3% mortgages, and he's getting hit for that too.
yeah. So he had a lady call. And, they explain their situation. I'm sure you've seen the videos on TikTok or Instagram. And she says her and her husband are paying $25,000 a year for childcare. And he lights them up. And what he doesn't realize and what everybody's getting mad at him about, he's so out of touch. That's what childcare costs now.
Yeah.
Is $25,000 a year if you want decent childcare. And, lit them up, and so people are going after him for that. And now people are going after him for he wants nobody to borrow money, right? Any debt's
Yeah.
bad debt, but he has a mortgage company.
Oh, of course he does.
How
Churchill Mortgage.
hypocritical is that?
Well, there's a bit of nuance there, and so I'm not trying to give him a pass, but in his defense, the only debt that he has any tolerance or patience for is mortgage debt.
Yeah.
Because it's an appreciating asset. But he also goes the way of like Robert Kiyosaki, your house is not an asset when it has debt attached. You might as well rent kind of thing. And I don't agree with that at all. Dave is very traditional. And I think I'm surprised, and I haven't seen what you're talking about. I'll have to look it up. I'm surprised, and I would be surprised if part of it isn't like people accusing him of kind of underlying misogyny.
Yeah.
Right? Because, that is what child
he
care
does
costs.
believe the woman, if they can't just stay
her
home and take
place
care
is
of the
in
kids.
the home. He's very Christian conservative. And I would say that there's some underlying undertones of that.
Definitely.
Even if he's smart enough not to be explicit on his media, I'm pretty sure that's what he believes. And I'm not, he is entitled to his beliefs. I don't have to agree with them, but I will say not too long ago, my wife and I were in a position where we had to consider what is the real spread. She wanted to stay home for a while. What is the real spread when you take net earnings from the parent that otherwise would be the child care and you compare that to the cost of child care? The margins are not great. Yeah. Seriously, $25,000 a year. You can have a $50,000 salary and take home 36 grand.
Yeah.
And pay 25 in childcare. Is that $11,000 delta really worth it?
Worth going to work?
A lot of people would say no. Yeah. And some people would say absolutely yes, because it's not about what you earn. It's about how you want to live your life. And a lot of people find a lot of, of their identity attached to their trade.
Yep.
So I don't know. It's to each their own.
I'll tell you what I've learned is staying home we just have one. He's 6 months old now.
Not easy.
Staying home with the kid is harder than going to work.
It's hard.
It
really is.
It's very hard, but we're going to cut to a couple ad sponsors, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes on the Jay Pitts Show, Talk Radio 1080, real news, real talk, real estate. We'll see you in a couple of minutes. Welcome back to the Jay Pitts Show, Talk Radio 1080, real news, real talk. All right, Jay, we've talked about REO stories, Dave Ramsey, kind of just catching up with each other since it's been a little while since we've done one of these shows. Now let's dive into, 2023 is over. You've had your team retreat.
Yes.
Why don't you brag a little and just let everybody know, what the team sell in 2023, what goals do they have for 2024? It's pretty massive numbers. Yeah. I know you finished high up on the RE/MAX team list, so I think you deserve to put those numbers out there and let everybody know what the team's about.
So 178 million is the closed sales volume for 2023 for the team. A lot of people, again, don't understand the distinction between the brokerage and the team. To put it in perspective, that's about 45% of the total company production. So we're upwards of 500 million as a company.
That's awesome.
Okay, so that is amazing. But it's the difference between 40 agents and 100 agents, right?
Yeah.
110, wherever we're at. It was something like 686 transactions. Really, really good number. That is not our highest year in terms of units sold. It is our highest year in terms of volume sold, which makes kind of sense because, like you said earlier, inflation's touched everything. Home prices have gone up, so we can sell fewer homes and have higher volumes. That being said, we're, for the third year in a row, the number one team of all real estate companies in the state of Kentucky. I think we were number 11 through November. We don't have the year-end numbers yet. We won't get those until the RE/MAX
convention.
In the country. In the country with RE/MAX.
Yep.
Something like 19 in the world. which is really more or less U.S. and Canada.
Yeah.
Which funny story.
Saw some Remaxes in Costa Rica when I was there.
There are Remax offices. The team concept is not a popular thing outside of the United States and Canada. So the top in the world list is mainly U.S. and Canada. There are some really monster Remax teams in Canada, though. So 19 in the world, 11 in the U.S. Last numbers I received. So yeah, great year. Goal for the coming year. So I've said our goal is 1,000 units until we hit it at this point.
Yeah.
Like there will be no other goal until we hit it. I did have a goal, some other more nuanced things, about the distribution of where our business comes from, certain lead sources, certain things need to be more in balance. Our agents need to focus more on listings. They need to focus more on their sphere of influence. Where I believe our agent population is, the majority of which are 2 to 3 years in the business. They need to be moving towards that to continue to build their careers.
Yeah.
So those are the goals. I mean, number one is the goal. What do you make the goal when you're number one? You got to push yourself. And so that's where we're at.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at.
One thing I think really awesome about the brokerage is how many of the teams here now are the teams just starting out, mine being one,
Right.
Kevin Lewis another. Everybody came from a team.
That's right.
And, you graduate out of it at some point or think you do, right?
Well,
even if you shouldn't, but it really puts you under the gun like, hey, I better get stuff done. And I've found that with myself. I mean, rocking and rolling right now, but I'm fortunate to have some lead sources and insight that not other people have.
Yeah.
And I realize that. So that's just something I think is really awesome about the brokerage is probably one of the closest knit brokerages, I'd say, in the state.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
It's got to be. What you said, though, I mean, you talk about lead sources. Yeah, some people are more fortunate than others. Some people have opportunities that others don't have. Sometimes those opportunities are earned. The thing that I think everyone has to understand, and this dovetails into the conversation about being a member of a team and then graduating to become an independent agent or a team leader, from mentoring 1, 3, 5 to 15, it doesn't matter where you are. You learn to be a good shepherd of what resources you have available. And you have a lot of different examples of people to follow. I know that the biggest, loudest, largest example is my team.
Yep.
My team started the brokerage. Most of the team leaders in this brokerage were a member of my team at one point. If they weren't, they came here to get proximity to the team so that they could learn how to emulate in their own way. And so that's really humbling and exciting. We just had our year end. We had our holiday party, which is in January. Some people don't like that, but works for us. It's a good year in review. A lot of love.
It's the day everybody ends sober January.
Yeah. We try to make it as late in January as possible so we get a few weeks in. But yeah, no, it was fun. And it
was a great party.
Everybody got to, shout out to the Zack Attack band, which shout out to Ryan for introducing me to the Zack Attack band. That's who we had.
They're great, aren't they?
Dude, slayed it.
Yeah.
They were awesome. That probably also didn't help my voice that night, but whatever.
You'll get it back one day.
Good times.
I think.
Good times. I think so too. I don't think it's forever. Hannah says I'm doing better.
I think you are too.
We'll see. So yeah, I mean that's the cool thing about this brokerage. It's so collaborative, and there's no secret keepers. We all share willingly.
Cool. All right. Let's jump into this story, Jay. This was from WDRB today, January 25th. Kentuckiana homeowners missing out on money and information with some wholesalers. Wholesalers getting contracts on homes across Kentuckiana, and in most cases, a wholesaler doesn't put any money on the line. While it's not a scam, some homeowners are learning it's an offer that's missing important information and thousands of dollars. There's a lot more said in the article, but I was surprised to see this from WDRB.
Yeah, I mean, largely local media has stayed out away from this story. This came under the microscope a lot, and is it House Bill 60, House Bill 62, something like that? We talked about it on the show.
62.
Is it 62? HB 62. Signed into law by the governor, voted through the legislature, requiring wholesalers to become licensed real estate professionals in the state of Kentucky. I don't know how compliance is going with that. I don't think it's going very well.
I think we talked about it. It wouldn't change much.
I don't think it's going very well. Compliance-wise, I don't think it's changed anything really. But wholesalers have filled a void in the market. Let's just be honest, okay? I'm not a huge fan, especially the bad ones. I think the good ones have brought forth something that real estate agents were hesitant to do. You know, a lot of times they're lower price point listings, investor angled listings that have some deferred maintenance, people that value a short closing, a cash closing. They don't want to deal with the hassle of readying their property for sale or enduring, endless showings or, tons of offers and complex contracts. So it's a double-edged sword. Okay. I think DRB is taking the side of the majority here because the majority of wholesalers are not good. I could also say that about real estate agents, just so I'm being fair.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, inherently it is the wholesaler's job to purchase the property from you, or at least enter into a contract to purchase the property from you at a price well below, as far below as they possibly can negotiate, below market value.
Yeah. So
that they can turn around and either market that contract. So there's a lot of nuance to this. I have an issue with that, marketing the contract and doing it in a premeditated fashion. I think you shouldn't enter into a contract that you have no intention of executing.
Yeah.
And a lot of these contracts that I've seen, they do not expressly state that, right? A contract can be assignable, but it is not, the emphasis is not placed on it. So the people selling their home, quote unquote, to a wholesaler may not know that the wholesaler is simultaneously selling the property to someone else at a profit, essentially taking a portion of the homeowner's equity, right? And had that homeowner hired a real estate professional, a good one, it must be a good one, that understands how to market properties that may need some love, they could have, in a lot of cases, gotten more equity out of that property.
Yeah.
Numbers example. A wholesaler meets someone that's willing to part with their house for $65,000, knowing that it has deferred maintenance, not understanding that as it sits, the value is really $80,000. And the wholesaler turns around and sells that $65,000 property for $75,000 to an investor who gets a $5,000 break on price, and the wholesaler pockets $10,000.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We have some breaking news. I think it's breaking, at least. It says on WDRB's website. But
okay.
Facebook parent Meta to build $800 million data center in Jeffersonville, Indiana.
Wow.
It says 13 minutes ago.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's massive.
That's huge. I'd like to see it come to fruition. There's a lot of talk about things like this that doesn't come to fruition. Yeah. But, Southern Indiana is ripe for that kind of thing.
Yeah. And $800 million, if they do come here, that's just a start. It won't be the first and last thing they build here.
No, I wouldn't imagine.
So, yeah.
But data centers are big business now.
Yeah.
All e-commerce requires them.
All right, good. We're going to cut to a couple ad sponsors. Our time is up for this third segment, and we'll be back on the J Pitts Show, Talk Radio 1080, Real News, Real Talk. I'm your co-host, Ryan Harris. We will see you in a second.
Welcome back to the J Pitts Show. I am your host, J Pitts, here on Talk Radio 1080. Back for segment 4. I think this has been a good first episode back. My voice is kind of holding up.
Yeah.
A little rasp.
Yeah.
But
we're just getting back into a flow.
It's just character. That's what I like to think of it as.
It does feel different. New space. Haven't done it in a few weeks, but we're rocking and rolling. So
it's funny. I keep looking at Hannah, expecting her to look back at me while I talk.
We should get her a mic like Jamie on Joe Rogan.
Totally should.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, we had this conversation earlier and we shut it down. What do you think Jamie from Joe Rogan's podcast makes? Right.
Well, you said $1 million.
I said
say
easily
more.
Let's Google it. How much?
I think it's going to be more. And he has the new podcast he's launching with Bobby Lee, which I don't know how that's going to.
Who? Jamie does?
No, Joe Rogan and Bobby Lee are doing a new podcast.
I thought he. Really?
Yeah.
I saw he was a guest the other day.
Nope. Him and Bobby Lee are starting their own podcast.
The Things reported Vernon's annual JRE earnings to be 125 to 150 a year
That's not true.
from 2023. His name is apparently Jamie Vernon. But I did Google young Jamie because they call him young Jamie, and he's not that young.
Oh, I guarantee it's not.
I mean, he's not as old as Rogan, I don't
Yeah.
think, but that's it. Anyway, 125 to 150. I gotta take the over on that one. That's from
way
July
over.
31st.
I'm going over $1 million.
Dude, I think Joe Rogan probably makes 25 mil a year
I'd say more.
from the podcast.
I think more.
His contract. I think it's just his contract, though.
I think his contract, the first one he did was like $10 million a year.
Okay,
They signed him for $100 million for 10 years.
Let's ask the Google machine. How much does Joe Rogan make?
It's so funny. I don't know if you've ever seen the celebrities on different shows. They'll like tell them to Google their net worth, and they're either like, "Yeah, that's not even close. Way more. I wish
Or
I
way
was
less.
worth that much."
New York Times estimated in December of 23 Joe Rogan's contract to be worth 200 million. Doesn't say how long.
Oof, nice. Fifth of a billion.
200 million, 100,000 an episode. 3 podcast episodes on average every week, bringing anywhere annually. I don't know.
So I got something for you here.
Okay, go.
Dave Portnoy. So his non-compete, Barstool Sports, for not getting into anything else sports betting, was only 6 months, and that's almost up. And they're about to sign here, I'll just read it. Barstool's non-compete in the gambling space ends at the end of football season. So Stool Presidente got the company back for $1 and will now sign an 8-figure annual deal with DraftKings. He would still owe Penn 50% of a future sale price, but wild turn of events.
He doesn't need to sell, ever.
A 6-month non-compete?
That's it?
Yeah.
For $1? He got it back for $1?
I thought it would have been a lifelong, but they're talking about non-competes, and the whole country might become obsolete.
Yeah.
They're trying to ban them completely,
What, non-competes?
which I think they should be.
That's cool. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
You know, that non-compete probably kept me out of the mortgage business for good. Like when I got into the mortgage business, non-competes were a thing. And I didn't take a really good job because of the owner of the company that I interviewed with personally. At the time, he had a rule of you had to have 3 years experience. I had 6 months.
Yeah.
He offered me a job. Okay. First, he offered me a processing job. And I politely declined and told him I wanted to be a loan officer. And I guess he respected the gumption, or the guts, if you will. And he said, okay, I'll give you a shot. He said, but you got to sign a 3-year non-compete. And I said, well, politely declined.
Yeah.
And so I went somewhere else that didn't have a non-compete. But had I taken that first job, I might have ended up staying in the mortgage business.
Yeah. I hate stuff like that when it's, 3-year, 2-year, 1-year or you need 3 years experience. Sorry. Instead of you need to close this many deals. It's not the years that teach you experience. It can, but it's the number of transactions you do that teach you the
Exactly.
experience. It's
Exactly.
the same way with they tell you need to be a real estate agent for 2 years before you can be a broker.
It's arbitrary.
You should it should be how many deals do you close?
It's arbitrary.
And there should be a minimum of listings and buyers. You're telling me a real estate agent could be an agent for 2 years and sell nothing and still become a broker.
Right.
And there's a lot of brokers out there, and they're the only agent of their brokerage.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to tell you, those people, majority of the time, don't know that much.
Not the best.
Yeah.
Not the best. It is what it is.
But they always do try to recruit you. I'll say that.
That's good.
So we're still in real estate. So I got a question for you. We've talked about how you think real estate agents should dress. Has it changed at all? Or maybe remind people, how do you think real estate agents should present themselves, dress? Because I have an opinion on it that's changed.
This is really funny. I had this conversation with my son the other day, right? And you know this, and if you listen to the show, you know that the way I interact with my family is not that much different from how I do business. It's just the truth. I am who I am, regardless of what
I think it's
segment
great.
of my life it's in. So my son has recently, he's in 5th grade. I don't think it's girls yet. but I don't think we're far from that. But he started to take more of an interest in his appearance. Like you can tell he sees trends, he emulates trends.
I definitely feel like kids care more about it now than ever before,
There's
especially middle
something.
schoolers, high schoolers.
His
now.
hair, he's grown his hair out. He, I mean, not like, to his shoulders or anything, but he's grown his hair out. He, it's a thing. Shorter shorts on boys are much more in style now.
Yeah.
Right. Which, I get it. You don't have to have the like Chris Webber, like
It's back in style.
Yeah, exactly. Like I never really enjoyed the Chris Webber to your shins basketball shorts, but like my son, it's to the point now where they don't have, like my version of this is when they sold tapered jeans when I was growing up, and we would cut the bottom of your jeans so they'd fit over your shoes, which youngins, may cringe at that thought, but Preston and his buddies, they rolled the tops of their shorts.
Yep.
To shorten them. And Preston is a tall, thin kid.
So his are probably already a little short.
His are probably already moderately short.
Yeah.
And he's got buddies that are like little short guys, where it looks much better on a little short guy than a tall, gangly kid.
Yeah.
And so I'm just telling him the other day, I'm like, dude, you can't. This looks terrible. And, I'm making him brush his hair every day. Now that it's long, you got to do something with it.
Yeah.
So that goes to my opinion on real estate agents. You should look like you mean to look that way. The way you look is on purpose. There is a way, okay, to make jeans and a t-shirt look on purpose. But if it's a ripped t-shirt, stained t-shirt, holy jeans, and you haven't shaved in 3 days and you didn't fix your hair, you look like a slob.
Absolutely.
You look lazy. No one wants to use their appearance, which is the first thing someone witnesses when interacting with you, to give the appearance of laziness or apathy. Those are bad things when it comes to real estate agents.
Uh-huh.
I don't think you have to wear a 3-piece suit, but if that's you, rock it. I don't think, I don't wear shorts to work. I do wear jeans. I've got a well-fitting hooded long sleeve t-shirt on right now. I used to dress a lot more formal. I don't now.
Yeah.
But I think anyone who's around me on a daily basis would say that Jay's kind of got a uniform.
Yeah.
He looks consistent. Every day I show up, I look similar.
Yeah. I like that. Consistent and mean. The way you look is the way you mean to.
Yeah.
I used to, and this is probably me being younger, think it wasn't as important, your appearance or what you were wearing. I've completely 180'd.
Mm-hmm.
If real estate agents want to be thought of as professionals, and that's how I want to be thought of, as a professional who really cares about my job, dress like it. And that's what I've been doing lately. Now, if you're not seeing clients that day, you don't have to be as well dressed, but still dress like you mean to, like you said, how you're wearing nice jeans, a nice fitted sweatshirt. I think it's very, very important. And especially, you don't get a pass if it's your friends you're working with or family members. It's actually probably more important that you wear nice clothes and look like a professional. If you want to be thought of as, in the same league as a financial advisor or an accountant, let's dress nice. If I go into a listing appointment and I'm dressed like a slob and you're dressed nice and the listing appointments were equally as good, they're gonna go with the person that's dressed nicer.
Well, even back to when you're not seeing clients, your small choices you make in life
Affects your whole day.
affects your approach to things. It affects how serious you are, how productive you will be. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, for example, I've got gym clothes sitting on the table right over there. I wasn't able to go this morning because we had HR meetings here this morning. If I choose to skip the gym, the rest of my day will be impacted, right?
Yeah.
And if I'm on purpose, then I'll be more efficient.
So funny, man. I was just about to bring up running, and if I set my clothes out that I'm going to run in the night before every day. Now, I don't get out every morning. I've been running in the afternoons this week, and it's different. But getting out there and making time for it, so it doesn't make me any worse off than waking up at 5 a.m. and doing it. I'm still getting it done. But yeah, just prepare
So
yourself.
David Goggins used to always say, sometimes I spend 30 minutes staring at my running shoes before I get out there.
I've done it.
Absolutely. All right, man. I think that's all the time we got.
Yeah, good show.
Good show. Good first out the gate for 2024.
Yeah, man.
Getting back after it. So I guess let's wrap. Not sure where we'll be next week. Maybe we're in studio. Maybe we're right here.
Yeah,
We'll
I'm
see.
excited. And if you all have any guests you think should come on or questions you have for us, you can always reach Jay on his socials, or you can reach me. Mine's ryanharris.re and Jay.
At J Pitts Realtor on most platforms. You can just Google me. You can find me anywhere. So, all right, that's all the time we got for this
Google
week.
me.
Yeah, Google me. It's easy, right?
Yeah.
We've got the Google machine. We did it twice on the show today. All right, that's all the time we got, folks. Thank you again for listening. As always, find us on the socials. And for Ryan Harris, I am Jay Pitts here on Talk Radio 1080. We'll see you soon.